Okay, so there's been a couple of things with various guys showing stuff on YouTube about how to fix the remotes buttons that aren't working, and in most of the cases it'll work fine, where you can just use like a Q-tip or an earbud and get some rubbing alcohol or methylated spirits, and you can just clean off the contacts section, as well as these little contacts at the back here. Now what these are is just conductive plated little pieces that they put over the rubber over here, and eventually this will wear off. And if you've cleaned up all this and you still find that your remote isn't working on some of the buttons, especially the buttons that you use quite often, like the power and volume up and down or channel changer, those buttons will go first, and eventually you'll get to a state where you can't clean it anymore. It's just lost its conductivity. So there are a couple of ways that you can fix this now, and one of them that I'm going to speak of today is using conductive silver, and that's basically like conductive silver paint that you will just you can buy from Kemo, or there's a bunch of other ones. Just Google it and I'm sure you'll find something. You can even get conductive pens as well, that you can just basically take the pen like an ink marker and color in the back again, and it should be fine. Once again, you still have to clean up this side of the surface to make sure that both sides are nice and clean. So in this case, you would take the conductive paint and just shake it up real nice, and shake it like you mean it, and then when that's all done, you'll take you can even take a Q-tip or a earbud, depends where you are, what you'd call it, and just take a little bit of the paint. Open carefully, don't splatter the stuff all over the place. Once you've mixed it out nice, and just take a dab of the paint and paint it over. In this case, the button that I have a problem with is the power button. All the other buttons are still fine, it's just the power button. So I don't know if you can see that nicely. I just coated it with that layer, and we're going to leave that to dry, and we'll come back and we'll see if we haven't made a complete idiot out of ourselves. But yeah, most of the time it does work. If it doesn't, just put another layer on and it'll get thick enough over time. Leave it about half an hour to dry, then it should be fine. We'll check now. Right, and we're back. So I've allowed it enough time to dry now, and you'll see it ends up quite shiny. If it's not shiny enough and you think you can need to do with another coat, just go and coat it again, and then put it back together. And the easiest way to check and test if it'll work without getting in front of your TV or device is just go through any digital camera, and you can press the button, and if you look closely you'll see the infrared through a camera. You won't see it with the naked eye, but you can pick it up with a camera. So there we have it. Only other things I want to speak about is pulling remotes apart. If you haven't done it before and you want to do it for the first time, try with your nails. Most of them will come loose with the nails, but make sure that you've loosened whatever screws there are in there first. Some remotes will have an extra screw mounted within the battery compartment. Sometimes they would even put it under a sticker, so you might not be able to see it. Just feel over that area. And this one doesn't have a sticker. It doesn't have a screw underneath the sticker, but some of them might. And then some of them are actually quite difficult to take apart. With those, you might want to buy yourself a nice little kit. You can get these, they're relatively cheap. And some of them are also junk. They'll break quite easily, but yeah, you can get a good kit, or you can use any like hard piece of plastic, or if you've got a nice fingernail, you can use that as well. And then pry it loose, but make sure if it's not coming loose, just before you switch into ogre mode, just see if you haven't missed a screw somewhere or anything like that, and then you can pull it loose. But often if you see if it's starting to come loose, you should be able to see where it's registering to make contacts, and then use the rest of it with a little thing. Don't use like steel screwdrivers or sharp objects like this guy did, because you'll end up with nasty marks. Even though this guy tried to go carefully, it ends up looking quite ugly. I don't know if you can see that over there. Yeah, you can see there's like little nicks and scratches. And the only other thing is there's other ways some guys renew their buttons that I'll also speak about, in case you don't want to do the pen thing. And that is, you take a X-Acto knife or scalpel blade, and on some remotes you can find like some buttons that aren't used. In this case, here's one over here, and if you turn over the remote, you'll see that there's no button over there. So I can quite easily take this out, and also if you're taking your remotes apart and you find that this is the perfect opportunity to clean them off if they are dirty, you can wash this pretty easily under soap and water first before you carry on, and then you can check whichever button's not being used, or you can even buy these little things separate. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I prefer the ink. So what you would do is just cut off that first millimeter, and then you'd cut off the other one as well, and take some silicone glue, put a dab of silicone glue on there, replace that head, and then you're good to go again. Other than that, I think I've just about covered all the normal stuff that you might be battling with remotes. If any one specific button doesn't want to work, then it's probably a contact. If all the buttons don't want to work, then it's either your batteries, or there's a bad connection somewhere, or something else is gone. So I hope you find this helpful. Alright.